Hi, my name is Manpreet Singh and welcome to my YouTube channel. This channel focuses on real estate and mortgage insights. This channel aims to empower viewers with the knowledge to make informed decisions in the real estate market. Please subscribe to stay informed about the Canadian real estate market. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I have a special guest, Mr. Ricky Rathore. Ricky, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to start off with a few questions and we'll take the conversation from there.
Sure.
My first question to all my guests is, how long have you been in the business and what exactly inspired you to join real estate?
So Manpreet, I've been doing this almost 20 years now.
Amazing.
I don't know if it was an inspiration. It was more of a lack of options. My dad woke up one morning, I was 18. He said, we need to buy, we need to sell. Go get your license, save some money.
Amazing.
And hindsight's 2020. I've said this before on a previous interview. I was on the wrong track as a kid. Growing up in a South Asian household, expectations were a certain way, but it was deviating in the wrong direction. So he saw it as an opportunity to keep me busy, college, university at the same time, working 3 jobs. And once I got into the business, things kind of just changed in a very dramatic kind of way. And it became something very special and near and dear to me.
So how was the initial years when you were starting out?
Initial years were tough. 18, don't have any contacts, don't have any money, right? I've got a loving and caring, supportive family, 3 meals a day, a roof over my head, a bed to sleep in. And at a certain point, I realized that if I couldn't achieve what I wanted to do at that age, it was only going to get harder. Get married, you have a family, you have kids, whatever it is. If you can't achieve those things when you have everything available to you, it only gets more and more difficult.
Right.
And so at a young age, not having any resources, I had something to prove. And I wanted to make my family proud. All of my cousins had gone to university, became doctors, lawyers, engineers. Typical cliche. And so I wasn't very good at academics back then. I didn't try really. And this became more of an outlet and an opportunity for me to get into a profession and then eventually become a lawyer over time.
Amazing. So how was the journey when you started as a real estate agent? I'm assuming you were probably 18 or 19 years old, right?
18 years old. I started my career with Remax, spiky hair and earrings. And first 2 transactions, Dad said, look, we're not going to get sued. It's our own deals. You don't need to worry. Learn something. Idea is we're going to save money anyway. So if we spend a little bit on mistakes, it's not the end of the world.
True.
And so that was, I think, an incredible opportunity for me that not a lot of realtors are afforded, right? You don't have an apprenticeship. You don't have an opportunity to shadow agents in most cases. And if you are, you're usually hanging lockboxes and for sale signs. So you're not getting what you need. But to be able to navigate the actual transaction and take what I learned academically and now to be able to apply it in the real world was very meaningful for me.
Right.
So that really helped me out. And I studied at TMU, formerly Ryerson. And during those times, there was a condominium project right in front of the CN Tower that launched back in 2006, 2005. And so somehow we ended up selling about 40 units in the first year. So I earned $250,000. I'm 18 years old, and now things are looking a little bit different. End game wasn't the same as it was when I got into the business. The goal then was to do these transactions and go back to school and focus on my university and graduate and take it from there. But it just kind of turned into something else.
So when you finished your schooling, what was the goal? What do you wanted to be at that point of time?
So I would say up until the last 2 years of university, I had no clue.
Oh, wow.
Right? I graduated from high school hoping that I'd get accepted somewhere. And I did. And I got into a very good school, thankfully. The BCom gave me a lot of very good academic background. And I think where I really appreciated the university's contribution to my overall life was the fact that they had so many student groups. So I aligned myself strategically with certain student groups. I started then creating my own groups, becoming, co-founder, president, whatnot of these types of groups. What that allowed me to do is it allowed me to take what I learned in the classroom and then apply it in the real world. So if I picked up the phone and I called CEO of a large company, I was able to say, this is Ricky from Ryerson, calling you as a part of the student group, I need X, Y, Z. So I was able to make mistakes in a very safe environment. And so I think that gave me the skill set that I needed to kind of advance. And so over time, as these transactions are happening, as I'm going through university, I ended up becoming a mortgage agent. And I got into the mortgage side of things because I didn't understand financing. Yes.
That was before becoming a realtor or?
Realtor first.
Okay.
So became an agent first. And then at 18, not owning anything, not renting, living at home with my family, I figured that it wouldn't be that difficult. But as clients with more sophisticated questions started coming into the fold, it became challenging. They would ask me technical questions. Oh, should I go with an open, closed, variable, fixed, amortization? What are the numbers like? And so for me, I had learned by that time that if I had an education, at least I could provide good advice. So that took me to the mortgage side of things, became a registered agent, and then shortly thereafter got into law school and became a lawyer.
At what point of age?
I would say this takes us back to 2011, 2012, that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No.
So that's when you got into the law school and
Correct. Yeah.
got into real estate law.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And when did you start your own brokerage then?
So first brokerage I started, I would say it was 2013. I had started it just before I had gone to law school. And I opened that brokerage because back then professional real estate corporations didn't exist. It wasn't an option.
Okay.
If that was an option, I probably wouldn't be sitting here as a broker of record. I'd be sitting here as a team lead working with another brokerage. So I was looking for a tax loophole back then, couldn't incorporate. So the only option was to open up my own company.
Okay.
I was teaching the courses then. I had a lot of things happening. And so a company that wasn't supposed to amount to anything, it was meant to be a shelter corporation for me and my partners, grew to about 150 agents overnight.
Wow.
So we became one of the fastest growing non-franchise brokerages, and I mean, generally speaking. And then eventually, a couple of years later, we franchised with Remax.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So when you joined hands with Remax, did you feel any change in the business, or the business was growing, or the brand helped?
So Manpreet, I started at 18 with Remax. What took me to Remax was the fact that if I had this on my jacket, I would get a seat at the table. At 18, not having a reputation or a name to lean into, and trying to make it as challenging. So I aligned myself strategically then with Remax, which is the #1 franchise, because at the very least, if I said it's Ricky from Remax, you wouldn't think that I was an 18-year-old person, especially if you heard me on the phone.
Yeah.
And so getting a seat at the table, I think, is more often than not the challenge. Once I'm able to sit with somebody, I can probably get the job done.
True.
But it's getting that door open first. So that's what aligned me with Remax originally. I left as one of the top agents at that brokerage, and I then went to Century 21. And what was ironic was that a lot of my clients started asking me, are you doing okay? How come you went to Century 21? It was almost like an inverse, right? Where it was like most people, in their minds, in their opinion,
clients do pay attention, right?
They pay attention. So they're like, okay, maybe you can't afford the fees. Maybe you're not doing what you should be doing. I spent 6 years at Century 21. I learned a lot there. Very good brokerage, very good broker of record and team. And then that's where I pivoted into my own thing for the tax shelter.
So my question was, when you had your own brokerage with no brand, and now you have a brokerage with the Remax brand on it, did it help developing the brokerage?
Yeah. So looking at the transition, in 2013, I would say 2013 to 2016, most of the agents that were working with me were very high producing agents, right? People that were aspiring, people that wanted to be top agents,
right?
People that I had very good relationships with that continue to remain with me even today. In 2016, when the Wynne government was in power, introduced the Rent Fairness Act, the Ontario 16-point plan, all kinds of things happened at that time. And so my top agents started complaining. And they started saying, look, when we're door knocking, if we're cold calling, if we're chatting with people about, I'm in real estate, first question is, what company are you working with? And they're like, oh, what is that? What's this company all about? And so I came to a realization that I had aligned myself with Remax in the beginning to not have to deal with that. Saves me 45 minutes in a typical conversation. And so we figured that if we franchised at that stage, it would give us more power to work with. And at the very least, it would make it easier for my agents to get a seat at the table.
True.
Once they had a seat at the table, the training and development was such that they would get the job done. And so it made a material difference when you said, hey, it's Ricky from Remax. All of a sudden, okay, he's a realtor. It's not some random person knocking on my door. It's an agent. Okay, that makes sense. So the franchise was instrumental. And more than just what consumers perceive about the franchise, the reality is that being an independent, the resources available to me, the network available to me was what I could create. Being a part of a major franchise that's all over the world with hundreds of thousands of agents means that I can tap into a network that is so vast that I'll never be the smartest person in the room. Gives me an opportunity to constantly learn. So a part of it was the name and the reputation, the recognition. The other part of it was the actual network that was going to enable me. And during times like COVID, I mean, Remax was at the forefront. We had COVID showing kits. We had all kinds of things. We were at the forefront of change. And so when consumers were really struggling to buy and sell, we were able to navigate at a very high level because of that network that we were able to tap into.
Amazing. And what I'm understanding is there was quite a bit of journey from when you started and you wore multiple hats. But now let's come back to both the roles. Did having been working as a lawyer and at the same time you are working as a broker of record, does it help?
Yeah. So everything aligned. So I became a mortgage agent because I didn't have the background. Didn't underwrite any mortgages. I just wanted the education. I had realized that by that time, education was the biggest tool I could have, right? Learn as much as I could and it would enable me. Law school served two purposes. One, it satisfied my grandfather's dream of having another lawyer in the family, right? It made sure my parents were happy that they had a professional in the family. And secondly, going to law school, the way you think is a little bit different. You're taught to think a little bit differently. And so what I find is a lot of people go to law school and they become very scared afterwards because everything's a lawsuit waiting to happen. For me, having gone from real estate and finance, then into the legal, it kind of just, it brought everything together because now I could look at a transaction from three different perspectives. And it gave me insights that most people and foresight that most people wouldn't be able to have without a vast network. And I wasn't double or triple ending my transactions or anything like that, but it just meant that when I looked at a certain file, I could figure out what the end result was going to look like, and I could maneuver myself strategically with my clients accordingly.
Amazing, amazing. Now let's come back to the social media aspect of your journey and your business. The first time I probably saw your video must have been 4 or 5 years ago. And since then I've been following you, and what I'm seeing is any video that you post is strictly education. And any first-time home buyer or even seller or an investor is actually going to gain a lot of value from that video because you have worked quite a bit on posting that video and running the numbers and everything. So there's a lot of solid education. So does it really help in expanding the business?
I think social media, I mean, it's your online calling card, right? I Googled my own wife before my first date with her. That's the world we live in.
Right.
So if you don't have a social media or online presence today, you don't have a business. Okay.
100%.
And I think a lot of people get focused on building a certain perception, which is important in this business, but a lot of it is very salesy. For me, the tactics have been education. I've never sold anything to anybody. I've been a resource. And my success has come in being a resource for people. And so the type of videos that I put out there are tips on how to make money, save money, and avoid problems. And so I feel that the people that do follow me take that, and whether they end up working with me or one of my team members or not, it advances the industry a little bit further.
Right.
And that's the goal overall. You want to enhance the profession. You want to enhance the the perception of an agent or a lawyer or a mortgage agent. You really want to bring people up and educate, because I feel like that's where the opportunities are to make a difference.
100%. And a lot of videos and the content is focused on data. And data helps people to get a bit of understanding where the market is heading, right? And what I see is a lot of times when you are creating content, it's not well-studied content. It's just you're making video for the sake of, posting on social media. But in your case, like for example, the new mortgage changes that came in the picture, I watched one of your videos probably about 3 months ago. And that was about the first-time home buyers can now get 30 years amortization on a new build. And how detailed that video was, I was blown away. I was like, this guy has done his research and everything is so well explained that there's barely any confusion for anybody that has no idea that what is the new mortgage change, right? And same goes to the December 15th change. So that shows to your viewers that you are really, really serious about your business and you know exactly what you're talking about because you're backing up all the information you're sharing with data, right? So
Manpreet, I'm not trying to be something I'm not, right? And so you'll see with my content too, if I'm not a mortgage agent now, but I'll bring in mortgage agents or professionals like paralegals, even lawyers that litigate, and I'll have them on these calls with me because they are experts, right? And I think in this world, especially with social media, collaboration with professionals is gold, right? You're not going to know everything.
True.
Even with all the years of experience and everything else, there's always going to be someone smarter than you. So constantly expanding that network and creating opportunities for like-minded people to come together is key. And I think the education just enables people, right? It advances the industry and advances, I think, society as a whole.
Yeah. No, that's really important. And now let's come back to any new real estate agent or somebody that's looking to get into the market and they have no experience in sales. They have no experience in real estate. What is your suggestion or advice to them? Because when you are starting off as a new person in the real estate business, you don't know which direction to head into, right? It's a lot of challenges. You are kind of finding yourself in the middle of nowhere. And then the right guidance, that's what what comes into the pictures, right? So what is your suggestion, your advice for someone that is just trying to step into the real estate business?
Yeah, I guess it's very simple. If you've joined a brokerage, and now you're Googling answers, you've joined the wrong brokerage. It's as simple as that. I think finding the right brokerage is instrumental in your success.
Yeah.
College prepares you, in my opinion, on how not to get sued.
Yeah.
College doesn't prepare you for sales.
Right.
You could have straight A's from college. Doesn't mean you're going to make any money in real estate. You could be the most overeducated, overqualified agent that exists today, but you may not make any money.
Right.
And so I think at the essence of it, your foundation and your support systems have to be strong. Joining the right brokerage means that you get support calls when you need them.
Right.
Okay. You're not Googling answers to try to figure things out, because the challenge with Google is that there's a lot of American influence that doesn't apply in Canada.
True.
Especially in the GTA.
100%.
And so I'll have agents that are working at other brokerages calling me about our cold call policy and our do not call lists. And yes, there's agents in my office that cold call and do all kinds of stuff, and we're totally above board. But the strategies that you're watching and experiencing online are a different environment that you're in. So joining the right brokerage is instrumental. And then within that brokerage, you make sure that they have proper onboarding. Make sure you've got a CRM. If you don't have a CRM, I mean, a lot of people will give me the objection that I don't have any clients to put in it. Yeah, pick up your phone. You've probably got 1,000 contacts in there. Start there.
True.
If you don't have a book of business, you're never going to make any money. You'll either get very lucky and fall into a couple of transactions, and then you'll get repeat and referral from there, or you'll grind away and spend all your money and then leave the profession.
So it's very important to have a right strategy. That's where the right mentorship or the right training comes into the picture.
Yep.
And as I was saying, that if you're not in the right space, you wouldn't know where to go, right? So that is very important. And now let's coming back to your interaction with realtors. You're hiring realtors, you're training them on a regular basis within your brokerage, right? What are the common habits that you're seeing of a successful realtor that helps them to grow the business?
I think, so I'm very selective in who I take onto my team. I don't hire anybody.
Awesome.
Okay, we're not a numbers game. That I think that's important at the forefront of this answer, because a lot of brokerages will hire anybody.
Yeah.
And so for us, a part of it is who's trying to join us? What's their mindset? Do they have goals? Do they have ambitions, or is this just somebody that's looking to park a license? If you're looking to park a license, don't waste your money with me. You're wasting your time. You're wasting my time. It doesn't make any sense. It really comes back to the mindset. And so I've built, a part of what we've built today is I've built the brokerage I wish I had. I went to a whole bunch of different companies. I've done all kinds of things throughout my career. And eventually there were things that I needed that I couldn't get, right? So for example, sitting at about $250,000 or $500,000 in GCI, you go to the average broker or manager and you say, how do I get to 7 figures? They're going to say, you need an assistant now. In my mid-20s, getting an assistant was foreign. Like, it didn't even make sense, right? Now, I'm still learning. I should now hire somebody and pay them on payroll. And then I should train them and develop them, and then risk that they might leave me or get their own license or all kinds of things, right? So with a lot of agents, they get to a certain level, and then the sorts of solutions that they're getting to solve their problems are inadequate, in my opinion. So a part of it was a tax shelter. The other part is that if I built into the brokerage all the things I needed, I could now scale to be a 7-figure income agent. And so that's how we've built everything around it. So for me, going back to the question, mindset's important. I don't care if you're new. I'm looking for aspiring agents, people that want to make a difference, that aren't just in for the money. They want to make a difference. That's important to me.
Right.
Because a big part of why I am doing what I'm doing today is because as an individual agent, I can only do so many transactions. I can only help so many people.
Yeah.
But with a team of, say, 300 agents today, I can make a profound impact. And my goal, my ambition is on making that impact wide scale. And I can't do that on my own. So my team and who comes to the team is very important to me.
Right. But when it comes to finding or following the right pattern, do you think the having a right organization, or what do you do with your working hours is really crucial?
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at a lot of, I would say, I would call them boutiques. You look at a lot of boutique brokerages, and they really sell you on a family corporate culture. I have family. I have friends. I'm coming to work. That's how I look at it. And so within a workplace, as an independent contractor, as a self-employed individual, nobody's going to tell you what to do every day. You've got to wake up and have a certain knack about what you want to do. And so I think at the foundational level, depending on where your head is at, if you want to succeed in this business, you want a brokerage where they've got coaching in-house, actual coaching, not the broker of record coaching you. That's not the same thing. You've got proper training and development,
Right.
You're constantly learning. I think one of the challenges I had in my career is that every sixth session was a repeat session. So if I went in and learned an offer and I didn't know how to do that, fantastic. That's a day one problem. I need to achieve that, overcome that. If I go back in 6 weeks and I learn how to make an offer a second time, that's great. Good refresher. If I go back another 6 weeks and I'm learning how to make an offer again, I'm not coming to training after that.
Right.
So when I'm talking to new agents and I'm giving them advice because they may not end up at my firm, I ask them to ask whoever they're interviewing, ask them what the last 20 training sessions are. Most brokerages can't give you that. They can't tell you what the last 20 training sessions are. And if they can, you'll see repetition, constant repetition. And so you have to look at that and say, okay, I'm about to sign this contract. Some of these companies will make you sign crazy terms that you don't read and you get stuck with. Read the contracts, understand what it is, have an open conversation. If the broker is apprehensive about your questions, that should set off alarm bells.
Right.
But at the organizational level, in my opinion, where I would want to work is a corporate environment where you have structure. You have freedom to do what you want to do. At the end of the day, you're the operator, you're the driver.
Right.
I'm not the hero, I'm the support hero. Right? My agent is the actual hero of the story. My team is a support team.
Right.
But you've got enough within our platform and our culture to continue to go in a meaningful path where you're not just kind of, okay, I don't know where I'm going. Let me just go in any direction and hopefully it'll work out.
Right.
But I think that's what happens with most agents today.
I think an important point that you touched that's very important for active realtors to understand is the difference between a boutique brokerage and a brokerage that's serious about training the realtors and help them achieve their goals. Because a lot of times it looks like that they're doing a lot of volume and focusing on luxury properties and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's very important to understand the basics of the business. If you don't know the basics, your foundation is weak, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was a boutique. That's what I was, right? Nothing wrong with being a boutique, but I think what is important if you're an aspiring agent today or a top agent looking to scale your business is leadership matters.
True.
Who's leading? And if you're in trouble, if you're in a jam, who are you going to lean on? Who's your support? If those things are unclear, may not be the right fit for you.
True.
Right.
True,
but
true.
again, it's like any business. There's all kinds of people that enter the profession. Some people get into the business like me originally that just want to learn, right? I realized after doing what I was doing that even if I didn't end up trading as an agent long term, an education in real estate couldn't do me any harm. Meant I couldn't get taken advantage of.
Right.
So you have people that join the profession because they want the education. You have people that want to save money.
Right.
And then you've got people that actually want to go out and do this. And I guess the last segment of people, excuse me, are the people that go and watch $1 Million Listing and then go to the Lamborghini dealership and then think that this is it. I'm going to make $1 million, right? So in any profession, you've got different things, but you have to align yourself with what makes sense for your business model. If you don't have a business plan, it's so cliche to say, but agents that fail don't have a business plan, right? Dreams without goals and structure are just dreams.
Right,
if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. You'll end up everywhere else. And maybe if you're lucky, it'll work out.
Yeah. No, that is very, very important. The point you just touched. Now, coming back to your journey, you have worn multiple hats in the real estate business, being a mortgage agent, being a real estate lawyer, and now being a broker of record. What is the exactly motivation that keeps you going?
I think at the stage I am in my life now, it's making that difference. I think that's what it is. I love this industry. I love this profession. And I want to do anything and everything I can to safeguard it. Because at the essence of society, we have communities, right? Communities start from home.
Right.
If your homes aren't strong, if you're displacing or placing people in the wrong places where it doesn't align, that's how you create problems.
Right.
There's strife and rife that comes from that. And so for me, at the very least, if I'm an agent, acting as an agent, operating as an agent, knowing that I can help people with one of their largest financial transactions and then help them grow that wealth, help them leverage that wealth and make something meaningful in this country where it's so hard. It's really hard to make it if you didn't inherit it or you didn't steal it.
Oh, it is. Right? At this point of time, it is. And
so I think what keeps me going is knowing that we're advancing the standards. We're training and developing the best agents, and we're going out and making a difference at a large scale, something I couldn't do on my own.
Right. And now let's come back to the current market scenario. And with the new mortgage changes, and we have seen some aggressive rate cuts from Bank of Canada. What do you see the market? How do you see the market in the year 2025?
So you look at the 90s and you look at the real estate market. So the year following the year of recovery, it was pretty similar. Okay. I think, Manpreet, everybody's focusing on 2025, but I think that's the wrong way of looking at it. You look at real estate from a long-term perspective. And if you look at the optics of this country, in the 1970s, the average home would be 2 times the average salary at that time. Okay. 1970s was also when we were building at the peak. That was our peak building. Okay. Based on my understanding, by 2030, we need between 3 and 5 million homes. If we're lucky, we can build 50,000 a year. Now, with some of the immigration policy changes, frankly, we don't have enough electricians, drywallers, concrete mixers. We don't have the trades to support that.
Right.
In fact, if you look at it mathematically, it would take us 60 to 100 years to build the number of homes that we need. So you look at real estate long term, and I look at any investment I've made. I bought my first condo at 18. Any investment I've made, it's never been, let me buy something, flip it next year. That's never been the MO. Very rare. I think if you take that approach, then my brokerage wouldn't make sense for you as a client. My agents probably wouldn't be able to help you because that's very speculative. But if you look at the overall optics, we cannot build enough homes. We have a shortage. You compare us to our neighbors down south, for every 1 immigrant that the US takes in, we take 6. Wow. So 1 to 6, okay? And then you think about it. So we're at 40 million population. We're at 6.5 in terms of the temporary residents we were bringing in. Now we scaled it back to 5. 3 years, that amounts to about 500,000 people. So in the next couple of years, there's going to be some blood in the water, because the people that booked all these condos a couple of years ago that are now coming to the market for occupancy and final closing, that's going to hurt. Especially if you over leverage, right? So I know I've heard horror stories. I deal with them at my law office where client went out and booked 5 condos. Should have never done it.
Wow.
But they did it because the market was doing this.
Right.
So I feel like that's where the challenge is. I think next year we're still going to see a bit of an adjustment. If you look at it year over year, November to November, we're up. If you look at TREP numbers year over year, by the end of the year, we'll be up. But there's a point that people are missing. So in a typical year, we would want to sell between 30 and 40,000 pre-construction units.
Right.
According to my resources and whatever research I've done, we've sold maybe 13,000. Challenge with that is that we already have an undersupply of inventory. We've got a shortage. It's a crisis.
Right.
We can't build enough, even if we wanted to. Remove all the red tape, you can't do it for another 60 years.
Right.
So you take that, and then you factor in that a lot of the projects that we did sell this year, they're going to get canceled because they probably have a clause in their agreement that requires 70% sale. They're not going to hit those sales targets. So you're going to see those properties get canceled.
Wow.
So you take the story and the dialogue to 2028, 2029. It's going to be madness. It's going to be real madness. So 2025, probably year over year, we're up, right? The last thing that everybody was worried about was the 5-year mortgages that are coming up for renewal. But now I think with the new changes, the interest rate being at 3.25 right now, it's going to be okay. It's a very soft landing. You can refinance and take your mortgage and be competitive. Banks are starting to compete as well now. So it's going to be a very soft landing, and the correction's done. The bottom's gone. If you've been looking at the bottom, that's it. I think this is the end of it. Because year over year, we're up. If you look at the actual dynamics of the marketplace, we didn't sell as many units as we normally would because pre-construction numbers aren't factored into TREB numbers. So you look at the year-over-year numbers, it'll look good. But overall, as an industry, I don't think it looks great because we've missed an opportunity on pre-con.
And now coming back to the number of transactions. I don't know if you got into that data, but last August or September were one of the worst years since 2020. In terms of number of transactions in a month.
So Manpreet, 2021 was the peak. 120,000 plus transactions. Like totally abnormal. Nothing normal about that. Normal is 80 to 90,000 transactions. Okay. 2022, 75,000 transactions. 2023, 66,000 transactions. Round figures. 2024, about 67, 68,000 transactions. Probably end the year up a little bit. But again, we didn't sell a lot of the pre-con. So there's opportunities that are missed there.
I think it could be because of the foreign buyer, the rule that came in that foreign buyer was getting banned from purchasing any real estate. And
they're still banned until 2027. So that's a factor because it changes your marketing efforts. But I think most people were really pushing projects to either end users or investors. And so I think looking at the market long term, it's going to be chaotic and there's no real solution.
Right.
Solution is build more homes. You can't build them.
Right.
We don't have the trades. And so 2025 will be okay. It's going to be fine. Is it going to skyrocket? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think it'll be anything crazy. It will be a better year for sure.
Because if you look at the first-time home buyers, they were sitting on the fence for the last 2-3 years that the market might bottom, and that will be the right time to jump in.
That. Yeah.
But I think 2025 they might want to consider, because for how long you want to be a tenant, right?
So, Manpreet, you as a mortgage agent, I'm sure you'll confirm that most people that are sitting on the fence were waiting for prices to drop.
Yeah.
Or they were waiting for money to become cheaper. Prices have
and it's
dropped.
getting cheaper.
Yeah. So prices have dropped. Now they're going up. We know that year over year they're going up. Money's cheaper now. And so all the people that are on the proverbial sideline, what happens is it's all economics, right? Supply and demand. So in a marketplace where you've got less demand and oversupply, prices adjust. And we saw a little bit of that. But come January and February, when everybody wakes up and says, okay, money's okay. Target rate, terminal rate's 2% for the Bank of Canada. Inflation's in check, and you actually look at the inflation data. So if you look at the inflation data today, last month we were sitting at just over 2, right? November numbers came out.
Yeah.
And interestingly, Canada and Iceland are the only 2 countries in the world that factor mortgage interest rates into their inflation numbers. You peel away the mortgage interest and you're sitting at 1.4%. So we've already hit the targets. That's why we're seeing jumbo rate decreases. Subsequent jumbo rate decreases. And so money will continue to become cheaper. The economy is going to start going in the right direction. Now you've got funny things with Trump and the tariffs and all these things that are, in my opinion, smoke and mirrors, but it will impact everything. And I think what makes us different in the GTA is that we're not building really anything. We're not producing oil in the GTA. We're not doing anything like that in a substantial kind of way. We're not building widgets. And so you look at our economy, most of it is an offset of real estate, whether it's trades, renovations, mortgages, legal, home inspectors, appraisers. It's all an offset of real estate. And if you look at us from the peak at 125,000 transactions, to then going to 77 and then 66, just do the calculation on land transfer tax that the government lost at the Toronto level, at the provincial level.
100%.
So we're going to see an impact of all of that. And, you know, you're seeing these things with the GST being clawed back on certain household items and whatnot. Reality is that if you look at it year over year, property taxes have gone up. And so there's a lot of things happening. We have an election year next year. A lot of interesting things are going to shift, but the overall outlook when it comes to real estate doesn't change. Over the course of breakfast, we brought in 1.2 million people. If it weren't for the 1.2 million, we would be in a recession today. And now we're scaling that back. So in 3 years, we're going to adjust. We're going to lose about 500,000 people. It's not going to have a profound impact, but we're not having enough kids as far as I'm concerned. 40 million population now.
Yeah.
And so people like my dad are aging out. My grandparents are aging out. Who's going to take care of everything? Who's going to be the tax base for all of this? So it's going to get worse. And I think as much as we want to look at immigration as a problem right now, and some people may qualify it as that, reality is that without immigration, we'd be in big trouble right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. I think that 2025 is going to be a year to watch.
There's going to be blood in the water.
100%. I think that will decide where the next couple of years are going to be, right?
Yeah.
And now let's coming back to you. What does the future hold for Ricky Rathore? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, Manpreet, for me, every day is about getting up and just being better than I was yesterday. Right? You'll hear these cliches, but that's the reality. For me now, it's about being the best. It's about being a part of the best in terms of network and the people I surround myself, and just constantly looking upwards to better the profession, help people out, and make a difference in the world. Right? Money comes and money goes, but I think where I am in my life now, I have a real ability to make a difference, and I'm doing it with one agent at a time.
Amazing. And in terms of your brokerage, where do you see the brokerage in 5 to 10 years?
So we've got all kinds of accolades. We've won numerous awards from head office in the region.
Amazing. And
a lot of people look at brokerage success based on the number of agents that work there. I've never been a numbers game. And that's never been the intention, even though we've been named the fastest growing RE/MAX brokerage in Metro West. I've been named as a broker of record, broker owner of the year. We've got rookie of the year. We've got best office design of the year. Like it goes on and on.
Amazing.
But it's not the agent count that I'm concerned with. It's the people that I surround myself with and the people that I'm supporting. we're looking to scale and train the best agents. Whether you're aspiring or a top agent where your broker's advice to you is go hire a personal assistant. No, we're not going to give you that advice. We've got resources in place, paperwork, marketing. We handle everything at the brokerage level.
Right.
So my goal is to continue to recruit, train, and develop the best team members that want to do something in this industry.
Amazing.
And we're going to pay Vaughn in a meaningful way.
Amazing. Ricky, I had an amazing conversation with you. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
And I learned a lot. And I'm pretty sure the viewers from this video will gain a lot of value. Thank you once again for your time.
Anytime. Appreciate it.